It's a Tuesday night. You're sitting at the kitchen table, laptop open, a half-cold cup of coffee sitting next to the keyboard that you forgot to drink. You just paid every single bill on time this month. Car payment. Utilities. Credit card, paid in full, not the minimum, the entire balance. You did everything right. You did exactly what everyone told you to do. So you open the app to check your score. It went down. Not by 1 point. Not by 2. By 11 points. You sit there staring at the screen, scrolling through the report trying to find the mistake. There's no late payment flagged. No collection. No new debt. You paid everything. On time. In full. And your score dropped anyway. You close the app. You open it again. Same number. You wonder if the app is wrong. Maybe there's a glitch. Maybe someone stole your identity. You check for fraud alerts. Nothing. The report is clean. The score is just lower. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't what you did wrong. The problem is what you did right, at the wrong time, in the wrong order, through the wrong account. And every single move you made, thinking you were building your credit, was actually handing the algorithm exactly what it needed to penalize you. Hey, I'm Maya, and welcome back to Money with Maya. I've spent years digging into the real mechanics behind credit scoring, not the version they hand you on a pamphlet at the bank, but the actual algorithm, the actual incentives, the actual triggers that silently move your number up or down when you least expect it. If this is the kind of content that actually helps you, subscribe. Every week I break down the financial mechanics that nobody sat us down to explain. What I'm going to show you today is the hidden rulebook inside your credit score, the one that rewards specific behaviors and silently punishes others, and the one that banks, credit card companies, and credit bureaus have absolutely zero incentive to ever explain to you. There is a mirror hanging in your financial life. And most people never look directly at it. The credit score system, FICO, Vantage Score, whatever version your lender pulls, is not a measure of how responsible you are. It is not a report card. It is not a reward for paying your bills on time like a disciplined adult. It is a snapshot. A photograph taken at a specific moment in time, showing a specific angle of your financial behavior, filtered through a formula that was designed by people whose customers are lenders, not you. Read that again. The customer of the credit bureau is the bank. Not you. You are the product. The mirror doesn't lie, but it only shows you part of your face. And if you don't know which part it's looking at, and when it takes the picture, you will spend years making the right moves and getting the wrong results. Years of doing everything they told you to do. And watching the number refuse to cooperate. The villain here isn't a person. It's a timing mechanism. It's a set of invisible rules that govern when information gets reported, what percentage of your available credit gets calculated, and how the algorithm interprets actions that look responsible on the surface but read as risk signals underneath. The villain is the gap between what you think credit scoring measures and what it actually measures. And that gap is costing millions of people hundreds of points. Silently. Invisibly. Every single month. Millions of people doing everything right, paying on time, paying in full, and still watching the numbers stay stuck or go down. Not because they failed. Because nobody showed them which angle the mirror was capturing. I'm about to show you both sides. Let me walk you through the math. And I want to be specific here, because vague advice is what got you into this situation in the first place. Imagine you have 3 credit cards with a combined limit of $12,000. Your balances total $2,900. That's a 24% utilization rate. Not ideal, but manageable. You decide to get serious. You want to buy a house. You need your score at 740. So you clear your balances completely. Smart move, right? Here's where the photograph gets taken at the wrong moment. You wipe your highest limit card to 0. The statement closes. The bureau records a 0 balance. Beautiful. Then, 2 weeks later, you put $1,800 of normal monthly expenses on that same card: groceries, gas, subscriptions, the regular stuff, fully intending to pay it off at the end of the month. But the card reports mid-cycle. The bureau captures that $1,800 balance before you pay it. That single card now shows 45% utilization on its own. Not because you overspent. Because the photograph was taken on the wrong day. The algorithm doesn't know your intentions. It only sees the snapshot. Then you close 2 old cards you haven't used in a while. You read somewhere that simplifying your credit profile is the responsible move. Those 2 cards had $4,500 in available credit between them. Gone. Your total available credit drops from $12,000 to $7,500. Your utilization on your remaining balances jumps from 15% to 28% without you spending a single extra dollar. The denominator shrank. The percentage jumped automatically. Then you apply for a new higher limit card to show you can handle more credit. That generates a hard inquiry. -5 to 8 points immediately. All of this lands on your report in the same 45-day window. The algorithm sees someone who opened new credit, closed old accounts, and had a utilization spike of 11 percentage points in less than 2 months. In the language of the scoring model, that pattern doesn't read as responsibility. It reads as financial stress. Your score drops 23 points. Not because you failed. Because you didn't know when the photograph was being taken. Now here's why that matters in real dollars. A 740 score on a $320,000 home qualifies you for a 6.4% interest rate. A score of 659, where you ended up after doing everything right, gets you 7.1%. That's a 0.7% difference. Sounds small. Over a 30-year mortgage, that gap costs you $54,816. Not a rounding error. $54,000. Because of timing. Because of a mirror that was photographing the wrong moment. The math is brutal. And nobody calculates it for you. I know what this actually feels like day to day. And I want to name it, because it doesn't live in spreadsheets. It lives in small, quiet moments that nobody talks about. It feels like refreshing your credit monitoring app at 11 p.m., not because anything changed, but because anxiety doesn't have an off switch. It feels like hesitating before applying for an apartment, calculating in your head whether the landlord's hard pull will hurt your score before you even know if you want the place. It feels like sitting across from a loan officer who's looking at a screen you can't see, watching his expression shift slightly, and not knowing if that shift means something, and not feeling like you can ask. It feels like explaining to your partner why you can't apply for the home yet, and watching them nod, knowing they're trying to understand but they just want a kitchen with a window. It feels like hearing a friend talk about refinancing at 5.8% and doing the mental math on what you're paying and choosing not to say anything. It feels like playing a game that nobody gave you the rulebook for, watching other people score points, and genuinely not understanding what they know that you don't. That feeling isn't weakness. It isn't ignorance. It is the correct response to a system that was never designed to be transparent with you. And I want you to hear that clearly: you are not the problem. The gap is the problem. And now we're going to close it. Let's talk about the system itself for a moment. Because the frustration you're feeling right now is useful, not if it paralyzes you, but if it clarifies exactly what you're up against. Credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, are private companies. They are not government agencies. They do not work for you. Their paying clients are the banks, the auto lenders, the mortgage companies, the landlords who pay to pull your report. You are not their customer. You are their data. Banks have a direct financial incentive for your score to hover just below excellent. A borrower at 740 gets the best rate and costs the bank the least margin. A borrower at 680 qualifies, but pays more. That extra interest is not a mistake. It is the product. That's not a conspiracy. That's the math of interest rate tiers, and it works beautifully for them. Credit card companies profit when you carry a balance. A customer who pays in full every single month is their least profitable customer. They have an internal term for people like you. They call you a deadbeat. Not because you're irresponsible, because you're too responsible to generate interest income. You are costing them money by doing everything right. Real estate agents have no incentive to slow you down. If you know that applying outside a specific shopping window will cost you points, you might wait. And if you wait, the commission waits. So nobody tells you. The system is designed to extract maximum yield from your financial behavior, not to reward you for being disciplined. There is no player in this ecosystem whose financial interest aligns with yours. Not one. The bank. The bureau. The card company. The agent. Every single one of them benefits from you not knowing exactly how this works. And once you truly understand that, something shifts. You stop playing defense. You start playing offense. Now you know what the mirror isn't showing you. And that changes everything. So here is the actual rulebook. The one that wasn't in the pamphlet. The one I genuinely wish someone had put in my hands years earlier. Rule 1. Never let your statement close above 10% utilization on any single card. This is the most important number in credit scoring that almost nobody optimizes for. The sweet spot is between 1% and 9% utilization per card, and under 10% across all cards combined. FICO rewards borrowers who show they can access credit without needing it. Not zero utilization on all cards can actually signal inactivity and lower your score by 10 to 20 points. 1 to 9%. That's the target. On a $4,000 limit card, that means keeping your reported balance between $40 and $360. That's the exact range you want the bureau to see when the statement closes. The fix is simple once you know it. Pay your card down to under 10% before the statement closing date, not before the due date. These are two different dates, and most people don't know that. Your statement closes first. That is when the balance gets reported. Then you have a grace period to actually pay. Most people pay on time, but they pay after the report. The photograph has already been taken. Set a calendar reminder for 3 days before your statement close date. Pay then. Not on the due date. 3 days before the close. That single habit separates the people who understand how the algorithm actually works from everyone else still following the pamphlet. If I had done this on a $4,000 limit card, keeping my reported balance at $400 instead of letting it report at $1,800, my utilization on that card would have read 10% instead of 45%. That single adjustment protects approximately 15 points. One calendar reminder. 15 points. That's the math. Rule 2. Never close an old credit card unless it has an annual fee you cannot justify. Every open card with a zero balance is free available credit working for your utilization ratio every single month, without you doing anything. When you close it, you are voluntarily shrinking the denominator in the equation that calculates your score. Your balance divided by your available credit equals your utilization percentage. Make the bottom number smaller, the percentage jumps automatically. without you spending one extra dollar. If you don't trust yourself with the card, cut it up. Lock it in a drawer. Freeze it in a literal block of ice. But do not close the account. If it has no annual fee, it costs you nothing to keep it open, and it is doing free work for your score every single month. Old accounts also protect your average age of credit. A 7-year-old card you haven't touched in 2 years is still quietly working in your favor. The moment you close it, the countdown starts. The account ages off your report in 10 years, and your average account age drops along with it. Years of history, gone. There is no fast way to buy that back. Rule 3. Space out your hard inquiries by at least 90 days, and batch mortgage and auto loan shopping into a 14-day window. Every time a lender pulls your credit, it costs you 5 to 8 points. Most people know this. What most people don't know is the exception built into the model. For mortgage shopping and auto loan shopping, FICO groups all inquiries within a 14-day window into a single inquiry. The model recognizes that a responsible borrower might comparison shop multiple lenders for the best rate. So if I apply with 4 mortgage lenders in 10 days, it counts as one pull. Apply on day 1 and day 16? That's 2 separate pulls. Same number of applications. Different timing. Completely different outcome. Outside of that mortgage and auto shopping window, space every application at least 90 days apart. Map your credit applications on a calendar 12 months in advance. Know when you plan to apply for what. Then reverse engineer from your mortgage closing date all the way backward. When do you need to stop applying for anything new? Mark that date. Work everything else around it. Rule 4. Keep your oldest account alive at any cost. Your credit history length accounts for 15% of your FICO score. That is not a small slice. And the most powerful account in that calculation is your oldest open account. It is the foundation everything else is built on. If it's a credit card, charge one small recurring expense to it, a streaming subscription, anything under $30, and pay it in full immediately after. Once every 3 months is enough to keep the account active and breathing. A $12 charge on your oldest card every quarter, paid immediately. That is all it takes to protect years of credit history. If you have a card you've had since your early 20s, and you've been thinking about closing it because the limit is only $800, stop right there. That card is not worth $800 to you. It is worth years of history that took years to build and cannot be replaced quickly. There is no shortcut back to a long credit history once you've closed that account. Rule 5. Monitor your reports for timing errors, not just fraud. 1 in 5 Americans has an error on their credit report. And the most common errors are not fraudulent accounts. They are timing errors. A creditor reports a payment as late when it was received on time. A balance gets reported after you already paid it down. A closed account is still appearing as open with a balance. These are the errors that quietly drain your score month after month while you think you're doing everything right. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can dispute any inaccurate item on your report and the Bureau must investigate within 30 days. That is your legal right. You can pull all 3 reports for free at annualcreditreport.com, one from each bureau, once per year. Read every single line. Look for balances that don't match your records, accounts you don't recognize, and payment statuses that contradict what you know actually happened. Print your bank confirmations. Keep them. A single corrected error can move your score 20 to 40 points. I've seen it happen. Not from a new income source, not from a new account, just from one corrected photograph that had been taken out of focus. One dispute, 31 days, 12 points recovered. The mirror was showing the wrong image. The dispute fixed the lens. Rule 6. Understand the credit mix factor and use it deliberately. Credit mix accounts for 10% of your score. FICO rewards borrowers who demonstrate they can manage both revolving credit, credit cards and lines of credit, and installment credit, car loans, mortgages, student loans. If your entire credit profile is only credit cards, you are leaving 10% of your score on the table every single month. Not because you did anything wrong. Because the mix is incomplete. If you don't have an installment loan and you need to build your score efficiently, a credit builder loan through a credit union is one of the most underused tools available, and almost nobody talks about it. Here's how it works. You borrow a small amount, typically $500 to $1,000, the money sits in a secured account you cannot touch, you make monthly payments, and those payments get reported to all three bureaus. At the end of the term, you receive the money back. You paid to borrow money you already had access to. That sounds strange. It is completely intentional. The reporting builds your installment credit history. For someone sitting at 670 trying to reach 720, this strategy can add 15 to 25 points within 6 months. No new income. No new credit cards. Just a deliberate credit mix addition. 6 rules. Statement timing. Old card preservation. Inquiry spacing. Oldest account protection. Error monitoring. Credit mix management. That is the entire rulebook. Now it's yours. I want to say something directly to you before we close. Something that took me a while to fully believe myself. You do not have to play this game the way it was handed to you. The credit score system rewards specific behaviors that happen to align with what lenders want to see. That doesn't make those behaviors the right choices for your actual financial life. There is no trophy for having an 800 score if you achieved it by keeping 6 credit cards open, strategically timing every payment, and engineering your utilization down to a single percentage point. That is not financial health. That is score optimization. They are not the same thing, and it matters that you know the difference. The social pressure around credit is real. Your parents talk about your score like it reflects your character. Your peers post mortgage approval screenshots like it's a personality trait. The culture treats a number generated by a private company as a measurement of your worth as an adult. It isn't. A number generated by a private company, whose actual customer is the bank, not you, is not a measurement of your worth as a person. It is a product. Sold to lenders. About you. Without your input. There is no trophy for maximizing a metric that was designed to serve lenders, not you. The only useful version of this knowledge is understanding exactly how the system works, using that understanding to access the capital you need at the lowest possible cost, and then building your financial life according to your own values and your own math, not the algorithm's preferences. What you thought was failure, the score that wouldn't move no matter what you tried, was actually clarity. It was the system showing you its own logic. You just didn't have the translation yet. Now you do. That is not failure. That is the beginning of leverage. Back to that Tuesday night. The kitchen table. The half-cold coffee. The app. I want you to picture yourself there again, but 12 months from now. You set statement close reminders on every card. You paid down to 8% utilization before each reporting date. You left your old cards open. You spaced your applications on a calendar. You pulled all 3 reports, found an error, disputed it with documentation, and got it removed in 31 days. You opened the app. 740. Not magic. Not a raise. Not a different zip code or a different history. The same income. The same accounts. But with the actual rulebook instead of the pamphlet version. The same rulebook I just handed you. Your mortgage broker sends you a rate sheet. At 7:40, the rate is 6.4% on a $320,000 home. The exact rate that felt completely out of reach when you started. The $54,816 that would have gone to the lender stays with you. You close the app. You open it again. Same number. This time, it feels completely different. The credit bureaus are not going to send you a manual. The banks are not going to call you and walk you through what triggers a penalty. The system is not going to change because you finally understand how it works. But now you know what the mirror is showing. You know which angle it captures. You know when it takes the photograph. So the only question left is this: are you going to let the algorithm score you, or are you going to learn to score it first?